This is an official presentation of Sport Fishing Championship.
The SFC season rolls on as the Gulf Division resumes competition after a 2-month break at the Gulfport Mississippi Open presented by Geisley. Which team is going to land the first place finish across the next 3 days and bring home the win? The hunt for the Zane and Grey Championship playoffs continues from Gulfport, Mississippi. The tuna tubes are loaded. The baits are prepped. The Gulf of America, we know what a great fishery it is, and we've got 6 of the best angling clubs representing the Gulf trying to take home the title and take home that Citizen Trophy in 2 days' time from now. So on Sunday, we will be passing that out. Welcome, everyone, on ESPN Plus. I'm Robbie Floyd, joined by the champ. The champ is here, Peter Miller. Good to be back in the Gulf, isn't it? I've been all in your neck of the woods lately with the Atlantic Division. It's finally time to get back to the Gulf.
Man, we've been dying to get back to the Gulf. We love it everywhere, but those Gulf fish seem to be really big all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they've got those big tunas they deploy to catch those big fish, and they always bring them to the boat. Somehow, one way or another, somebody's bringing a big fish to the boat. It might be 300, it might be 700, but we've seen it all. There's white marlin there, there's sailfish there, but you got to try a little bit of everything. You're going to have lures, you're going to have pitch baits, you're going to have live baits. Everybody's going to try a little something different until they figure out what works best for them. So it's day one.
A lot of things to look for. They took off yesterday. They started fishing today. They got 3 days to prove themselves, much like Third Coast Renegades did back at the first stop for the Atlantic and the Gulf Division back at Key West, Florida. We had an Atlantic champion, Lights Out Boston, and the Gulf side winners were Third Coast Renegades, picking up right where they left off last year, Peter.
Oh, yeah. You know, they're good at everything they do. You know, they've got the corks right there. You see that's a sailfish deal right there in Key West. That's what it was all about. Helium, kites, live bait. And you can see they can catch big marlin, they can catch multiple Grand Slams, and then, you know, fish Key West with that light tackle with that 20-pound test.
Take home that title, a $100,000 check. You know, all the clubs will be jockeying for position all season long in the playoff hunt presented by Exotic. Here are the Gulf Division standings after 1 of 6 tournaments on the schedule. Top 2 teams qualify for the Zane and Grey Championship playoffs in October, but this is just a little taste of what we're going to see. You see that first of 6 tournaments this season. So even though West Florida Black Flags might be in 6th from their 6th place finish at Key West, don't expect them to stay that long. Rudy Tamarchio, who's on site there in Gulfport, Mississippi. A lot of things to look for from all of our teams. It's good to be back in the Gulf, isn't it?
Great to be back in the Gulf. I know you call me Scoops McGee. Without my gooders right now, I'd be Squints McGee because it's super bright out here. But great to be back out here in the Gulf. And there's one thing that always happens with the Gulf season. It always comes to the last minute when it comes to boats being ready to head out on the water.
Yeah, Rudy, I know the retrofit with the Mississippi Blues, they were having to get some stuff ready. I know we've got some of the video from it as well. We didn't know. I called you this morning, did they take off? Because they could have left yesterday at noon. That wasn't the case yesterday at noon, was it?
No, not at all. And it's something that we knew as early as March when we met up in Dallas for our media days with all the different angling clubs. We kept it a little quiet because you don't want to alert anybody too soon, but Adam Davidson, Captain Adam McGugan, they both gave us the heads up saying, we hope we're going to be ready by Gulfport and Biloxi, because that refit was supposed to be 6 months. It was supposed to be out of the yard by May. Well, out of the yard by yesterday, sea trial last night, get everything else on the boat afterwards. Because think about it, if you're repowering your boat, you're putting in more powerful engines, better fuel range, better speed. All that stuff's got to come off the boat. So they're putting back in refrigerators, microwaves, they're putting in countertops, they're doing all these things, and also even just putting the riggers back on the boat themselves to get out of the yard. A lot of stuff had to happen, but they're out there and it doesn't look like they've missed too much compared to the rest of the field.
I got to say, Rudy, watching the tools that they were using and watching those guys down there in the engine room, the fans going, tools, beautiful fittings, everything looks so clean and nice with the work they were doing. You got to feel good about doing it right the first time. A little bit rushed, but doing it right.
Yep. Hey, Third Coast Renegades
Definitely
changing
a little
up
bit rushed.
their approach. Rudy, I know, I'm sorry we got a little bit of a lag. The Third Coast Renegades changing their approach for this tournament?
Yeah, the beauty of live television, you get a couple seconds delay on that. But definitely, in terms of changing approaches, the Blues had to change their approach in terms of doing a more traditional shotgun start than what we have in the rules. Third Coast Renegades, another group out there that's changing their approach a little bit. We think of them as kind of like a Swiss Army knife in the Gulf. Traditionally, they'd fish a little bit more like Captain Spencer Johnson and the Texas Lone Stars. They're going to pull artificials. They're going to rack up different species, white marlin, sailfish, blue marlin. Instead, what Garrett and Drake Sawyer and all of them over at Third Coast Renegades are doing, they're trying the live bait approach that the traditional Gulf boats do, going from oil rig to oil rig. It's a little bit different. I think they're about 6 days into doing this with that last tournament they just finished. So we'll see if it pays off for them this weekend.
Fuel consumption as well, big for teams, because if they can make that run, they can kind of like chug along, right? But you don't have to blast to your spot and trying to get there first, do you?
Right. That's the one thing about the rule change that came through is you don't have to blast out of a shotgun start. But these different manufacturers, talking about the Lone Stars with their new 67 Paul Man, Garrett Frazier and the Renegades with their 60-foot Spencer. The one thing that comes in with these different styles is how they burn fuel. You have to take my word for it. I caught up with Garrett Frazier yesterday to talk about how much it affects their boat.
Calculating that fuel burn and making sure that you're strategic in where you're going to be is a big part of it. And, you know, our boat is built for speed. You know, we've got one of the fastest boats in the fleet, really in the Gulf. And we're not built for fuel capacity. You know, some of these Vikings have 2,200, 2,500 gallons before they even talk about a bag. And some of them put 2 bags in the back or 1 bag on the bow. You know, they can go out with 3,000 gallons, 3,200 gallons ready to burn, whereas we've got 1,650, and then I think it's a 200-gallon bag. So, you know, we've really got to be strategic on where we're going to go, what we're going to do, and at what speed we're going to get there to really minimize that burn.
Yeah, that was it's a very interesting point that he brings. You know, having the ability to chug out there, to get out there, to be bait fishing is a very big difference in running 200 miles at 40 knots trying to get to the fishing grounds, because it's calm. You're going to burn 150 gallons an hour, and at that rate, it becomes almost too expensive to deal with. But, you know, these guys do it, but they didn't have to do it this time. They love the format, and it's a very astute, you know, understanding of the fuel and the numbers and doing everything, the science behind it all, right, Rudy?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to hear about how these different manufacturers, different boats, and how they burn their fuel and just what capacities they have. I think, like, for example, if you see what the Gulf Coast Cowboys did and how they ran through Venice, Louisiana, they didn't even put bladders on their boat. But then you have, for example, Louisiana Canyons, where they put about 600 gallons, and you're watching their transom sit super low in the water to get started. It's really cool to see, and it's something that's very different and unique to the Gulf division.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the insights and things that we were checking out. And we're going to check out more. What about the tournament details? In case you're wondering about this facility, this launching point for some. We're out of Gulfport as well as Biloxi, but only a 300-mile boundary. I didn't think there was any, but they did set some parameters out there. The lines are going in this morning at midnight, and they come out on Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central. Time for our conditions report. Chloe Turner, always with the insight on what it's going to be like out there on the water.
Thanks, Robbie. Let's take a look at conditions across the Gulf as teams are already underway on day one of competition. With a 300-mile tournament boundary starting at Gulfport, which you can see here, these captains are going to have plenty of options, and where they choose to fish is really going to depend on the conditions they find in each direction. Water temperatures today are set to range from 80 to 84 degrees. Now, the current activity is still going to remain a pretty big story with this tournament, with several large eddies, as you can see here, spinning across the Gulf. Captains are really going to be paying close attention to the edges of these features where currents converge and bait can stack up. Those current boundaries can also gather sargassum, or in other terms, floating seaweed, into weed lines offshore. Sargassum provides habitat for baitfish and other marine life, making it something that these captains are really going to watch closely for as they search for that productive water. Now, a little sargassum can be a good thing, but too much can foul lines and make trolling a lot more difficult. Wind across much of the tournament area are generally running from between 5 and 15 knots, with a few higher pockets offshore. With such a large area to fish, teams are really going to be looking for the best combination of water temperature, current activity, eddies, weed lines, and weather conditions as they adjust their strategy throughout day one. Robbie, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Chloe. You see a lot of movement down there. The things that you've been talking about, always talk about, Peter, as we're looking at our 6 Gulf Division teams out on the water. They're trying to find that perfect spot. Where do all those things mesh? Where are those big fish living? We're going to see some fish on the other side of the break. We're going to step aside for a moment here in Gulfport. The Gulfport Mississippi Open is sponsored by Guidesley, official booking partner of SFC. By Citizen, official timing partner of SFC. One Water Marine. And by Hook, official jersey and performance apparel partner of SFC. Well, a lot of people just chilling out there in the Gulf of Mexico. You know a guy who's never on chill mode. He's already intent on catching fish. That's Peter Miller. He's over at the big board. Peter, what are today's keys to success?
Thanks, Robbie. I am super hyped up watching all this action in the Gulf. The keys to success, you know, it seems very simple, but you have to kind of go through it. You got to do your homework. You've got to look at the charts. You've got to look at the chlorophyll. You have to go out there and scout. You've got to pre-fish. You've got to find fish. You want to mark fish. Where's the bait? You need to do all of this before you actually have day one where you deploy everything into the water, which is today. Now, cull your live baits. You usually see a bass tournament. Hey, we're going to cull that bass. We caught a 4-pounder, but now we got a 5-pounder. We'll throw the 4-pounder over, keep the 5-pounder. That's exactly what you do with the tunas, the rainbow runners. You might have all 4-pounders, but you're like, I really want 6-pounders. So if you catch a bigger one and your tubes are starting to get full, you start throwing the other ones overboard and you cull your baits to the size that you want. You use a big bait, you're typically going to catch a big blue marlin. And then we get to variety is the spice of life in our relationships, but specifically here, it comes to fishing, you have to keep changing it up. You've got to have lures, pitch baits, you've got to have naked ballyhoo, you've got to have ballyhoo with chugger heads, you're also going to have live bait, different kinds of bait, and you're going to have teasers, you're going to have squid chains with mackerel on the end, or maybe horse ballyhoo. You've got to do a little bit of everything until you break it down and figure out what's going to work best for you. So I hope that helps.
The fish are guessing, what do I want today? Looking at that leaderboard right now, for the first time you see that it's been all about the Gulf Coast Cowboys. 550 points, that means that there's been a white marlin caught, and that means there's been a blue marlin caught. So we'll get to that action here in just a bit. But again, still looking for the first catches out of the other 5 angling clubs in our field. Looking at that 6 box, how it's going on the water right now. Everybody's in, well, one boat's in the go mode. It looks like the Gulf Coast Cowboys, they're flying to their next spot. And we talked about how that when you can chug out to these places, you can afford to burn some fuel and get there really fast if you've got fuel to burn. If you're one of those boats that didn't have the fuel bladder on board, then maybe you're having to conserve a little bit more of that energy.
And you really want to get those fuel bladders emptied out as soon as you can. Obviously, you don't want to rush it because it's your backup. But when it's time, at least empty 1. And if you can, you empty the 2, and you know you're going to be fishing in a certain area, get rid of them. Fold them up, put them away, stow them on the bow, wherever you want to keep them, and get back to a full, wide open deck so you can do your work. You can dance around and catch marlin, blues, whites, sailfish, some big mahis, big tunas. Maybe at night you do a little sword fishing, which count as a championship fish, as do the mahi, the yellowfin, and the wahoo. You know who wants a wahoo right now? The Black Flags. Marty would put together a sashimi dish.
A veritable cornucopia of wahoo delicacies.
That's right.
Gulf Coast Cowboys, we saw how they were in the lead. Did they do something a little bit different? The answer, as far as when they were running, yes, they did do something different. Instead of going straight out into the Gulf, they turned right and went down to Hurricane Hole. We've been there before, Peter, and down there in Louisiana. Why did they take a right-hand turn? The big question is, you got to change up your program when you're allowed to do so.
You know, sometimes, Robbie, you want to go to a different area, and there's no reason why you want to fight currents and you want to do things. So if you run inshore, you can avoid some of those currents. And there, you see the fuel bill right there. That's not much right there. That's just a little drop in the bucket.
But when you leave Gulfport, Biloxi area, you head down the coast into Louisiana at Hurricane Hole. And we know we've been going to Grand Isle for years now. A great place to refill and then head out to the fishing grounds that you want to. And that's what Dino had to say.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you something. You have come to see a show. The Brittany Marie, we have got a great team right now. So just get ready and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of fish caught. And we've got a little feeling that something spectacular is going to happen, but I can't let you in on everything. So everybody needs to stay tuned. Like and share. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Dino wasn't wrong. I mean, Nostradamus McDowell, because he's right. Look at that, 550 points. And something special did happen for the Gulf Coast Cowboys.
Predictions have been made, and he's never been that forthcoming and that, firm on a prediction. And boy, did it come to fruition. That's 550. That means they've got two.
Yeah.
Nice fish. You know, they've got that 450 blue marlin and that 100-point white marlin. They're one fish away, Robbie, from that grand slam.
And you know what? We're going to show you that white marlin catch on the other side of the break. We've seen Dino. Let's see the better half of Dino. We'll see Lori McDowell when we return. The Gulf Division kicking it off once again. Gulfport Mississippi Open presented by Guidesley, the second stop of the Gulf Division here at Sport Fishing Championship. The tournament leaders, Gulf Coast Cowboys, on the first day of 3. They don't have to shut it down until Sunday at 4 o'clock Central. But on day 1, it's always good to get that first call in, and that's exactly what we heard out of Gulf Coast Cowboys in the 8 o'clock hour. It would be the first fish of the tournament and the first lady to catch a fish in the Gulf in quite some time on SFC.
And you can see that they're trolling. They've got all their gear out for trolling, first thing in the morning. And they've got their live bait rig set up. You see that big circle hook with the band right there ready to be sewn onto a fish. Lori McDowell steps into the hot seat.
Come on down.
Yeah, the next contestant on the Billfish
is
are
right.
us.
Billfish is right. We saw Dino predict something big happening, and we know that they catch the 2 fish in the tournament because you see the point total there. But how good is it to sit in that chair knowing that you got the first fish of the tournament? You're in the lead for now.
And also, look at her confidence and look at everyone else's confidence, because now they've all been fishing together for quite a while. And they've got that hum going. She's been catching them prior to this event around the Gulf. And she's been just loving every minute of it, giving thanks all the time as always. And you can see that fish taking line, most likely lure fishing, first thing in the morning, trying to get that big bubble trail, trying to get that smoke behind those lures to try to raise up a feisty fish that just wants to attack. When they see those lures go by, Robbie, they have to go up and pounce on it first thing in the morning. They've just got to. So you have that window a lot of times. It's not like bass fishing where it's got to be, it's just at daybreak, It doesn't have to be like that, but, they start feeding when the sun starts coming up, and she's switching gears there. Still a 1-to-1.
Big rod and reel combo, too. I mean, you're not looking for little fish either with this setup. She caught 1 white last year, so this would tie her record. Got PBs in the SFC.
That's right, personal best. Coming back, going forward, it's a little give and take right now. She's back to the regular ratio, the standard ratio, which is probably a 3.2 or 5 to 1. And the other ratio she had going prior to this, a couple seconds ago, is a 1 to 1, which is usually reserved for when the fish is straight up and down and you've got to just gain inches. And they say, that's just like Al Pacino, it's a game of inches.
Did you say it like that?
Any given Sunday. This is any given Friday, and she had a game of inches, but she went back to feet.
Yeah, that 1 to 1, like a granny gear back in the old days, the transmission. Like I'm giving her a lot of RPMs and I'm going nowhere. You know?
That's right. You got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
I'm eastbound. Watch your bad, bro. Lori McDowell, I mentioned that one white marlin she caught last year. 2 blue marlins are her credit. She's hoping to see more blues today.
See more butts. The butts of these rods, you see how they go into the rocket launcher and they fit right in there perfectly. They're not waggling out. Like if you had a spinning rod, they have the rubber butt on the bottom so they don't get seated properly in the gimbal. And that could be a little bit of a problem, but not these. It's very important that these sit properly. You see her taking up that line. They're in reverse, backing up, gaining that line. It's not giving her much of a challenge. She's, you know, she's got the endurance for this kind of thing. Robbie, this is one of the hardest parts. When you have to constantly turn and regain that line, your shoulder really starts to burn. When it's up and down, you're using the big muscles. You're using the legs, you're using your body weight. But when it's just cranking, your shoulder starts to burn. Not Laura, she's got no problem.
And in that rocket launcher, there's a mate usually back there and swinging, you know, towards the direction. The captain's lining you up. That mate's helping line you up even more fine-tuned.
You got Brian Kelly behind her making some videos. You got Jordan Benefield, Dalton, Nick Becker, of course, Blake Bridges at the helm, and Dino. This is a great team, and they're on a fish in calm water. What could be better? First thing in the morning, 8:26 on day one.
You keeping up, baby?
You hear Dino say, "You keeping up, baby?" Why are you trying to sweet talk me while I'm reeling in this fish?
Man, she's got some great shoulder.
I know. I mean, she is not backing down. There's no water breaks here. No rest.
I've got new respect. I've always respected her a ton. And this little shoulder workout, this little deltoid.
How many people have you fished with that are professional, maybe football players or such, that would not have had this kind of momentum going?
This is muscle memory right here, okay? Like football memory is completely different. Like, you know, imagine racing someone in football. Forget it. I mean, we're going to be flat, you know, on the grass, you know, face down, eating the turf as we take off, because we'll probably slip, first of all. But this is a very big difference. You know, the football players a lot of times super strong, but they don't have that muscle memory for this kind of movement, repetitive movement.
See the camera going in the water too, trying to get that video verification.
Yeah, when the camera's in, you know the fish is close, so she's not, that's why she's not, you know, going wild right now. She's gaining everything she can without having to squat up and down, without having to slide back and forth. She's just grinding through it. This is when, like, the brake pads are on and you're just smoking.
That low gear was what was putting the heat on. I got some earlier. Hey, that's powerful. Well, it's about to be good.
It's good to get to listen to them on there.
She's like the Energizer right now. I know she's doing it.
Yeah, they're talking about it, you know, having it in that low gear, just trying to make ground at times.
The other pole has the foam on it too. You're working back and forth, baby. That way you can see.
We are hearing what they're hearing.
Dino said, work it back and forth, baby. Lay that line on. There it is. There's the wind-on leader attached to a bimini twist. They use a knot called a cat's paw to attach the wind-on leader with Dacron at the top to the bimini twist.
There's the underwater shot they're trying to get as well. Fish semi-lit up. I can see,
That's
the peck looking good.
Little white marlin there. You see that remora just go flying away? Said, thank God I got out of here just in time. Things are getting ugly.
I've been on for the ride. Nice lure.
Yeah, that's a nice size lure. That raised that fish up, and that fish had to have it.
And again, that's a fairly big presentation, right? That's a pretty big lure. So, I mean, they're looking for blues, but they take a white, and that's 100 points.
That fish was hungry.
Love seeing that. They're going to want to get that one back.
Yeah, those hooks are expensive.
Yeah.
It's a nice little setup. Stiff rig. You got the heat shrink on there. There's a lot involved to make those.
Good job.
Yeah. Come on, let's go. There we go. Let's go. Come on.
Good job, girlfriend.
First fish in the Gulf. Feeling for frays? Or chafing?
So
as you
bad.
EK.
Let's go.
Beautiful work, guys.
Tribe Kelly with points on the
This
board.
is the favorite there,
I
right
love
there,
it.
Robbie. When you get to look underwater and identify the species 30 feet down, to be able to see that and be able to zoom in on 4K, that's what we're talking about right there. That fish is healthy, it's identifiable, and jumps next to the boat on multi-cameras, and that way you don't have any issues. Love that footage, love that footage.
Yeah, that is good. And thank you to our teams for getting that back to us, because again, we've got our cameramen on board, and I know Junior Delatorio on the Gulf Coast Cowboys getting us all those good shots on top, but their crew gave us those. Species, how do we count them? 450 for the blues, the white marlin worth 100. Sailfish, we may see some of those in the mix as well, but when you see 550 by Gulf Coast Cowboys, you know they got a white. What's a 450-point fish? It's going to be the big blue.
I am loving that new display, that new graphic of the fish swimming.
Me too.
I was enamored by that. Wow.
First fish of the tournament caught by Lori McDowell. It is not the only fish of the tournament. I promise you, they're going to get bigger. And when I mean bigger, I mean way bigger.
Sign up for SFC's Angling Club Championship and be featured in our tournament coverage. Compete across 4 categories of meat fish: mahi-mahi, swordfish, wahoo, and yellowfin tuna. Running alongside the SFC season, these divisions allow you to represent your favorite angling clubs and win cash. Fish anytime, as many times as you want, between now and September 7th to win. Go to sportfishingchampionship.com/championshipfish 2026 to sign up now.
I'm David Blackbird with the Texas Lone Stars, and you're watching SFC on ESPN.
Looking forward to seeing Big D catch some fish today, but make sure that you discover heart-racing adventures, breathtaking views, and one-of-a-kind experiences that can only be found through the SFC experience on Guidesley and Guidesley Pro. Go to sfcexperiences.com to find your next outdoor adventure. I've had the opportunity to go out there. You could have that same opportunity to go out to those platforms, like our teams that had the opportunity to go out yesterday and start fishing at midnight today.
Happy to be back in the Gulf waters. We had a fun time in Key West, but happy to be chasing the big blue marlin again. And you know, I think with that extra day of travel and being able to do it while you're not on fishing time, it helps a lot. You can kind of be strategic about it. You know, we do a lot of plan and prep work beforehand, so being able to do that plan and prep work and then execute it and try to show up in those spots, see if it looks the way that we think it's supposed to look, and kind of game plan. You know, do we need to make a move? Do we need to do this? So it's definitely an advantage for sure.
I appreciate the fact that we've got more time, because if you want to full-on send it, there's some great paths to get there. You don't necessarily have to bump right out to the Gulf and take 4 to 5 footers to the teeth for 250 miles. The way this coast is set up, there's some alternate paths that you can take and head down the Mississippi and only have to be in the Gulf for 100, 120 miles. So it really gives you that flexibility with that extra time to get to where you want to be and be on the fish that you've targeted, using all the models that you can use to get where you want to be. So I appreciate the format.
We'll probably leave, run a few hours tomorrow, then chug and be where we want to be. You know, I think it more of an advantage for the live bait guys. They're going to go check rigs and put their sonar down and look for fish. And if the fish are there, then, you know, it's a good sign for them to stay. For us, we're covering more area, so we came through there the other day and marked some fish, so hopefully they're still in there.
Well, Robbie, you know that we all know fishing is super exciting. Everyone's fired up for these tournaments, but there's a big pucker factor. It comes down to fuel. It comes down to baits. And if you don't have the right baits, the day of the tournament, at lines in, you're struggling. You start second guessing. You start getting stressed. You're not in the right headspace. This format is an opportunity, as you can see, which allowed everyone to get to their area comfortably, catch the bait they needed, and they're able to find the spots they wanted to fish on day one without having to race out there, blow all that fuel, and maybe catch bait at this rig, maybe catch bait at that rig. Now they're all comfortable, they're calm, they have what they need to succeed.
Looking at the Louisiana canyons, you see the bait working, the teasers working, everything working behind. And that is a team that would probably make the longest run. We've seen it in years past, right? But before they shotgun start, it takes them half of the day to get to their spot. But to be there at your spot is so much better. I agree with Garrett. I'm glad that they did it. It's our tournament. We had the ability to do so. And I'm thankful. I know we only have 2 fish caught so far, but the possibilities are much better, even though Jason might be taking a nap here in a second if they don't get a call out soon.
This is usually standard procedure for the Gulf events. You know, whether they get to come out the night before and catch their baits and prep, or whether they race out in the morning. Either way, it seems like that bite's a little later in the day, or it's early, so they had that early bite. But then, you know, as the day progresses, they get to fish, you know, all night into the next day, and they can catch all these fun fish at night, these championship fish. So it never ends, but this is an exciting fishery. You know, you see some of the boats are trolling, obviously. We've got the canyons trolling, so they're pulling baits, dredges, teasers, a little bit of everything, and then they're gonna be, you know, deploying live baits. You could see their wells on the side with tuna tubes in there, and they have their baits brimming in there, and they're ready for pretty much everything and anything.
Jason Berthelot, we saw her just a moment ago. We know her dad, Toby, captain. I think I have an Angel Mutineer also captain this week, so they might be sharing duties. But one thing about this boat, we know they've got some superstitions. Several of these teams have superstitions. We caught up with them and talked about one of them.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, this is kind of a new season for us. I'm gonna go through my ritual. We always put Lucky Charms out the first day, or every morning of the tournament. We think it's the marlin for breakfast. They always want it. So every day we've got a box of Lucky Charms. Sometimes we've got some limited edition. Today we got Jumbo Unicorn, and we dump them in the water for the marlin. Here we go. Let's go catch them.
I get it on the big marshmallow, but where did the unicorn come from?
Robbie, you know, you're looking for a needle in a haystack. You know, to billfish is kind of like a unicorn.
Oh,
so
true.
I think that's the right shape marshmallow, if you ask me. That's tight work.
You know what? I think a good partnership would be Louisiana Canyons and have a marshmallow billfish, maybe somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a good tie-in?
I think so.
You hear that? You hear that, Lucky Charms? Well, they're burning fuel off of that platform there. Some excess gas is spent there. And I don't know how much that fuel costs, but we know they're spending some Benjamins out there on the water. We know that there's a superstition as well with putting a $100 bill in the reel, and it obviously paid off for Lori McDowell, didn't it?
Oh yeah, when you get down to the $100 bill, you know things are good, but it looks like it went back in the pocket, so I think they're gonna be doing that might be a recycled. You know, some of us use Monopoly $100 bills. Other people actually have the $100 bills. Me, I'm more of a Monopoly guy, you know. But you know, there are a lot of superstitions. You know, Robbie, I told you I have a pair of sailfish underwear.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to really talk about my underwear on live TV like
the old
this, but
faithful.
here we are, and that's what I have to wear, and I must wear them, and I actually wear them for these shoots as well. While I broadcast, this is the good luck for the team.
Wait.
I do this for the team.
Uh-oh,
Everybody in the Gulf, right
Oh,
now,
I thought we were.
it's for you guys.
I thought we were getting ready. They're just pulling in. Thought I saw something special there. It's all good. They're getting ready to move, aren't they?
They are.
If it's not happening here, and again, that conserve fuel and going out to those spots. If you've got fuel now to burn, now you can run hard to your next spot and hit it. I mean, what goes into those decisions Do you leave an area if you haven't graphed one? You know, I mean, is that the time to move?
Yeah, you definitely, if you're not getting any action, one, or maybe you're marking them and they're not eating, you can't get them to bite, and you're following the fish for hours and hours and hours, you finally can't get them. Sometimes it's worth just pulling everything in and moving to a new area. And sometimes you might hear stuff on the radio like, hey, these guys over at this rig are doing really well, or things are happening. We just spotted 2 blue marlin, we didn't get bites at them. So they might move to a different spot just to change their latitude and their attitude, and that's when they might get another or a bite. You know, the Lone Stars, they're so good at this. You know, they're always ready, willing, and able to catch every billfish that comes into the spread. And just watching these guys, you get excited because you know at any second it could happen. Raul and Roberto, you see them over there doing their thing, and now you're back on the black flags here.
Blows my mind you didn't give Roberto and Raul a call last week when you were in the Mayan Riviera. I thought that would have been your first pickup for sure.
Well,
you didn't think about it, did you? That would have been awesome.
I was with my wife on her birthday vacation. The last thing I was thinking about was, no offense, guys, Roberto and Raul, I wasn't really thinking about. But now, yeah, I was over there in Playa del Carmen.
They're looking for a little good fortune on the Texas Lone Stars, like we see the Louisiana Canyons shaking a little Lucky Charms. Oh, they're magically delicious. Let's hope they bring in some billfish soon. The Gulfport Mississippi Open is sponsored by the Nature Conservancy, conserving the land and waters on which all life depends. No Rivals, Billfish Conservation Project, and by Exotic Outdoors. A lot of cool things to see and do if you're down there in the Gulfport and Biloxi areas. Another stop on the season, a sport fishing championship. They got 6 to deal with in the Gulf, 6 to deal with in the Atlantic. And our Gulf representative down there is Sarah Burke. Welcome to ESPN, Sarah. I know you've been doing some fishing in Florida yourself lately as well, but there's also some conservancy, some things to talk about when you're in the Gulfport area as well, isn't there?
Absolutely. We're out here with the Nature Conservancy, and a super fun thing that I got to do while I've been out here is to go out there and see all the things that they do. They're doing some oyster reefs out here. They learned all about it, told us all about it, and it was a great time. It was super cool to see all the cool stuff they've been doing around here. Hi, I'm Sarah with Sport Fishing Championship. I'm out here with Tom from the Nature Conservancy for an oyster restoration. Do you mind telling us more about what we're doing out here today?
Sure, I'm the director of the Mississippi Coastal Program, and we're here on the Trapani Reef in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. So we're sending divers down to look at the conditions of the biological fauna on the reef. So the Nature Conservancy is a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving the lands and waters that are important for life, and a lot of that includes areas that are important for recreational fishing, coastal habitats, and the waters that those systems depend on.
Will you walk us through what we're doing out here exactly when they go down and collect the oysters, what they do with them, what they're testing for?
So we've got 2 divers that are going to be going down in a minute. They're looking to do basically a population sample. So they have a meter quadrat. They'll collect all the oysters they can find within that meter, and we'll haul it back up and we'll measure those oysters for size, but we'll also measure them for quantities.
Do you find a lot of changes each time you come out? Is it a significant change?
Yeah, so one of the cool things that we've been able to see firsthand is, you know, a year ago, this oyster would have been half this size, if not smaller. 3 months is a long time between sample periods for an oyster to grow. So we generally do see a difference in the size of the oysters that we're collecting. One of the other projects that we do in Mississippi that the Nature Conservancy is leading is the Save Our Shells oyster shell recycling program. So we've actually added oyster shells from restaurants to this reef.
The shells themselves are pretty much the ideal habitat. That's what you would see in nature. all of that material would wind up in a landfill, and we are eliminating that.
We have 16 restaurants along the coast. One really good one is Bacchus on the Beach. They're located in Pasch Christian, and they're a real big contributor for us.
Why do you think it's important to recycle oysters?
It's important to recycle oysters because, in a way, we're investing in the ocean. What we put back into it is going to supply us tenfold. The reefs help with shrimp's habitat, crabs, and all that comes back to us and gives us the opportunity to sell it and gives people the opportunity to sell it to us. Therefore, once again, just building our community.
We've been able to do 3 projects within the Save Our Shells program. We've been able to build 2 living shoreline and then also put some on our reef as well.
The partnership with Sport Fishing Championship and the Nature Conservancy makes a lot of sense to me because we're interested in the habitat side of things, trying to build places for not only fish, but also other types of wildlife. And interest from recreational fishers into the sustainability of those habitats is really important. If there weren't recreational anglers, there wouldn't necessarily be as much interest in protecting wetlands and oyster reefs for the ecosystem benefits they provide. So having support of organizations that value habitat is really key to sending our message out there that, you know, these are important systems for the health of the coast from an organism standpoint, but also an economic standpoint.
If you want to learn more information about the Nature Conservancy and all of our projects, you can go to nature.org/ourwaters.
Great job, Sarah. It's kind of cool because usually as an angler yourself, you're concerned about some of those shell beds and making contact with your boat. But looking at things a little bit different there, I saw you got to have some good eats as well. But you look at oysters a little different now after doing that, don't you?
You definitely look at oysters a little bit different now. Instead of just seeing oysters as something you go and eat at a restaurant, now I also have a whole new perspective on it. You see them as oysters filtering out our waters and, you know, helping out with our fishery. Going around with the Nature Conservancy this past week was really cool. I saw the full process on, you know, how they build those reefs out, and, you know, even whenever you go back and eat the oysters, they take all those shells and they clean them all up and they put them right back into the reefs too, which is really cool.
Yeah, really cool deal. Great piece there, Sarah. We look forward to checking in with you the next couple of days. All right, speaking of checking in,
good,
Peter,
thank you.
I heard a little birdie. Are we going to hear that sound? They told us. He said, hey, we got to get to this. We've got some live action with the Texas Lone Stars out amongst the rigs.
So he's got a relatively
I see it.
That's a blue marlin coming up.
Did you see that, Bill? Right on.
Yeah, he grabbed the teaser. He got the back end of the teaser, so now the captain's bringing it in. He's still there. You see him in the wave there, pitching that bait. Oh, that was a great eat. Oh, man, this is live, coming at you live right now from the Lone Stars.
And was that swiper no swipey?
Well, sometimes that happens, but then you can drop back. I'm not sure what's happening. We did see the eat.
He missed that one.
Sometimes they miss them, and they're bringing the teaser, and he's on that teaser. They want to get it out of the way, and we'll see what happens there if he's already hooked up. Very well might be chasing a different teaser. Maybe he'll get another shot.
Was the other one a carbon copy, but with more pink of the squid chain that was there for that
When I was
teaser?
getting that grass off, you see that?
He's on. That fish ate and he was on.
Okay. Wait, did you see the frustration? It looked like he threw his hands like, darn it. Or he come back to bite it afterwards.
Now, you know, sometimes those fish, they're so ferocious that, you know, you think they have and they don't. You know, they got just the tail and it comes out of their mouth. They're moving so quickly. You're moving 7, 8 knots, you know, in one direction. They're moving off, you know, 25 miles an hour in the other direction. And, you know, they're getting ready for battle. Close that hatch, please. Yep, thank you. Those big screws sticking up, they get me every time. They get me nervous, but they know. They know better than anyone. Backing up on the fish. Looked like a really, really nice fish, as all these blue marlin in the Gulf are. Grown big.
David Blackbird, we're used to seeing him locked in there. You see Roberto and Raul taking care of all the business around.
You got Brian Richter, Mark Blackbird, you got Sutton, and of course Spencer Johnson.
So again, this is the team that didn't really want to make that long run, didn't care. They went ahead and took off a couple of hours beforehand this morning. This is their style.
Light drag right there. Nice and smooth, suave, as Roberto would say.
Light vegetation too. Look at all of that that vegetation.
Sometimes you got to get in the middle of that sargassum. You got to get in the middle of that weed, which makes it very difficult to fish. But that's a lot of times where the fish are. We saw it last week or 2 weeks ago in Charleston, and there has been an onslaught from the Sargasso Sea coming to our shores everywhere.
And if it was a solid grass line, weed line, or that Sargasso all locked up in one spot, it's one thing. But when you're running these baits and lures through those sporadic ones, it's like going through a minefield, but they work through that minefield perfectly.
And these guys know exactly when a little baby clump gets on the bait. You could see it not swim properly, it'll snap out of the rigger, or it'll have a slight heavier pull, and you know very well that you better fix it, start reeling fast on it, hopefully it comes off and you can redeploy it. Or sometimes it gets really snagged on there and you got to bring it in, take it off, and then redeploy it. One way or another, you've got to have all eyes looking at all times.
This is the team who holds the Zane and Grey Championship trophy, winning in Cabo San Lucas last October.
And we talk about pitch baiting, Robbie. You know, this is the epitome of pitch baiting, instant replay. We see the fish coming into the teaser. We're going to see that momentarily. Throws the bait over, flips it over like clockwork, like perfect. There it is. Marlin's on it. It's on it. Comes up again, eats it. Grabs it again, takes it down, has a chokehold on it. They pull it out of his mouth. That was beautiful. The fish is fired up. It can't not eat at that point. It's going to eat.
And the whole bait and switch that you've always talked about, bring that bait in, you drop back that pinch bait, and you kind of replace it, right? He got a taste, he got a little love, he does, oh, this is good. This is
and
tasty.
You can't hesitate. You can't be sitting down thinking, oh, I'll jump up and he'll be there and I'll get there.
No.
I mean, you saw how fast that happened. It was on the teaser. He came through, didn't grab the wrong rod, came through, gingerly reached through, grabbed the right rod, flung the bait over, because rubber banded on, threw it over, and before you know it, the fish is right there on him. I mean, it was an instantaneous bite.
From sight to deploy, what do you think? Less than 2 seconds from the second they saw it to him pitching that? Probably right at
It was 3 bites on the teaser. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd say about 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
But the bait was already. I'm saying the second that they went to pitch that bait, less than 2, or right at 2.
He threw it in the water and it wasn't tracking yet.
Right.
So he threw it over. It still had some coils that needed to get stretched out. But when it came tight, it was like the fish was like, bingo. So it was quick. Everything was rapid. It was really well orchestrated.
And it almost looked like a little frustration. We've seen where they'll swipe at one teaser and then kind of pull on towards another. We saw that happen already this year. We're looking at.
Oh wow, there he is jumping. Oh, another nice one. Another nice one. I mean, come on, Robbie. This is making me like cry a little bit for happiness and a little sad.
Is that a white? Because I mean, look at how he's jumping.
Come on.
That is a peppy blue. He's jumping like a white, but we know it's not. You can see the dorsal.
And you see what he's doing right there. He's got a big clump. So now his line is going straight down with a big clump, and it's finally coming out, but he's been like a 90-degree angle to that fish jumping. So you think the fish is straight down, but it was obviously 90-degree angle to where he was fighting the fish straight up and down because of the weed.
And how quickly it happens, too. If this is a qualified catch, if they can get that to the leader, that's 450 points, and there'll be just one more blue from taking the lead. So we know he's hooked up. We know it's a blue marlin. That could be 450 points on the line for the defending Zane and Grey champions, Texas Lone Stars. Scotty Scheffler's crew got a big jumper out there. It's a blue. It's not the biggest. It doesn't have to be the biggest. It's the most points-paying fish we have in our structure. We'll see if they can get it in.
This is Captain Adam of the Mississippi Blues, and you're watching Sport Fish Championship live on ESPN.
Sign up for SFC's championship fish divisions for the chance to win cash and be featured in our live broadcast. Represent your favorite angling clubs and compete across 4 categories of meat fish, whether it's the wahoo, yellowfin tuna, swordfish, mahi fish, anytime, as many times you want between now and September 7th to win. Go to sportfishingchampionship.com/championship fish 2026 to sign up now. Sarah Burke, we heard from in that last segment. She caught a 47-pound mahi-mahi.
That was a beauty. That was a beauty. But Robbie, I tell you, we got a beauty on the end of this line. We got Mr. Blackbird, the owner of this boat and this team. Scotty Scheffler is part of this team, a very big part of this team, and they are on a feisty blue marlin. We got to watch it eat the teaser once, twice, feet times
a matey.
And finally, he dropped that bait back, and he ate it just like he was eating the teaser. It was perfect. Everything was so well orchestrated and choreographed. It was a pleasure to watch. And then watching the fish take off, we're going to show you a little bit of that in a minute, but right now we're watching this live back from commercial break.
Hey, didn't we have we had Mr. Spencer on board in Charleston, right? You know, the
Paul Spencer, that's
Spencer boats. Right now we've got a Paul Mann affair because both boats that have fish that had fish on are both Paul Mann's for this tournament.
Paul
right?
Spencer and there's Paul Mann.
I'm saying Paul Mann is the new boat for the Gulf Coast Cowboys.
Right.
And now this Freebird is a Paul Mann as well. 65-foot Freebird. And is that down and dirty?
That is down and dirty. Man, calm condition. We talked about, you know, what it takes to be able to get out there and do this, but I tell you, being calm makes it so much more enjoyable. You get to see everything, you get to watch everything. It's low impact on the body. And right now it's just, that's called, he's, you know, stalled out right there, and now he's taking some little pumps.
Hey, the setup
nice
we
and
saw
easy
out of Lori McDowell, much bigger setup, right? Again, they're looking for blue marlin. This is more mid-range, but he has a blue marlin on, right? It's not playing into this as well as it did, say, Lori, if he had the bigger setup. Awesome.
I think had they seen, I mean, they're so good at what they do, that had they seen that it was like a 500-pounder, 400-pounder, they're going to pitch a mackerel on a bigger setup. But these guys quickly identified that maybe this fish was more like the 2 or whatever it may be. I have no idea. I can't measure while it's in the air jumping because my eyes are, you know, just looking at it like I'm not there. You know?
When they have the 2-pitch baits, they would have a mid-range and a BP.
Oh, yeah. You got to match the hatch, as they say. You know, you have a 500-pounder, you're going to throw a mackerel, typically. You're going to have it set up. And sometimes you throw a mackerel, they don't want it. You throw a ballyhoo and they'll eat that. And of course, it's on the rod, maybe you don't want. But I think this fish, you know, is a pretty decent match. Again, light drag, the fish has a tendency to kind of come up and they're not going to dive down. They get really angry when you hammer that drag. But that fish is just creeping off right there. That fish is laying. It's just paddling nice and easy, you know, down maybe, you know, 150 feet, 200 feet, something to that effect.
How many spares do you have rigged and ready to go to pitch out? I know you said it might be a variety between one or the other. How many do you have sitting in there?
I mean, you could just take a look at the boats, you know, as they're leaving the dock. They'll have, you know, 20 rods, you know, out, you know, on the bridge. They'll have them in clusters. They'll have them at the launcher. There's a little bit of everything, but you definitely need those big baits when those big fish come up. You need a big profile to elicit a strike, and that's what the teasers resemble, and that's what they do. They're making a huge trail of smoke. They're making a ton of commotion. It gets these marlin angry, and they have to come up and see what's up, and then hopefully you've got what it takes. You got the right recipe. They want to come up. They want to attack it, and if you could do the bait and switch, pull it in, pitch that bait perfectly at the right time, they're going to eat it, and that's what we saw here.
He's been fighting this fish for about 15 minutes, and that thing is down and dirty. It's just hunkered down, just saying, come and get me if you want me, or I'm going to try and use my Maypop abilities. But this team, this crew, the defending champs of the Zane and Grey Championship playoffs, trying to get back into the Maypops
abilities. Explain that to the
Maypop ability is okay, if you want to put more force into this line than the line deserves, it may pop.
There you go.
And that is the case. You always
That's
have
what he does not want.
You know, but the fish does.
The fish is saying Maypop?
Yes.
No.
The fish is trying to run the Maypops, and you get that from. You know.
Well, that's why the drag is set the way it is. The only way this fish would Maypop,
chafe,
K-pop.
Yeah.
You know, it's if it chafed through the leader. That line is not going to break because the drag is set exactly the way it's supposed to be. And when that fish is just creeping off, you know, it's very, you know, he could push the drag up a little bit, but he doesn't need to. He's waiting it out right now. Look, you see what he's doing? He's saving his energy, because sometimes you get into a fight like this, it may take an hour, it may take 30 minutes, it may take 2 hours. I've been on fish for 2.5 hours before, which you never thought would happen, but all of a sudden you just can't budge them. But the good thing in a tournament is if you touch the leader when they're up on the surface, you get the points, and then you can continue fighting the fish and apply more pressure because you've already got the points, you've got the fish, you've got the ID.
The longer it takes to get this fish in, the less time they have fishing, though. I mean, that's the sad point, but they know this isn't a 75 or a 100-point fish. This is a 450-pointer.
That's a lot of heat on the fish right now. He's got some good heat, and I think he's coming up. I heard him say something like that. But this is the first time we've ever seen him do this.
He didn't piss him off.
No, we haven't seen this, Robbie, really. We have not seen the straight arm get the lactic acid out of your muscles. You might be in for a long haul, right? This is an endurance battle. It's not fast like a sailfish. You're not reeling your heart out with 7-to-1 ratio.
Yeah.
So he's got the arm straight, reserving his energy, and when the fish stops creeping off, put it back up in his hip, and then he can start fighting the fish again.
Fight time 17 and change for David Blackbird. He's just along for the ride, and I was almost going to say one thing we haven't seen is a platform in the distance, but you do actually see that platform in the distance. We don't know how far they've moved off of that, but for the longest time, I didn't see a structure that this fish might have been holding to. We did see some, some
They're using their sonars. They're using their sonars, so they're marking fish and they're following fish, and they're trying to present to those fish. And sometimes it'll take an hour. It might take 2 hours. I had a friend trying to bait a 60-pound mahi for 2 hours, and he finally got it to come up and eat, and they wound up getting him. I mean, that's next level stuff. So you see that this is what you put all the work into to get to this moment, to have that fish on the end of the line. Take a breather, save your energy, be smart, work efficiently, don't rush, don't stress, enjoy it. I'm sure he's not enjoying this moment right here, but look, he's not like with 50 pounds of drag on there. That's probably, 20 pounds and 25 pounds, I don't know, 20 pounds of drag maybe?
He said I've waited long enough. Now he's trying to make ground.
He knows, it's not like he's weighted, it's like the fish is scoping tiny bit up. But right there, he goes right back down.
Yeah.
When a fish of that size is fighting this rod, this reel, this setup, they can just lay down there with their weight and they can just creep it off, and there's nothing you could do right now. The only way you could do anything is if the fish starts scoping up, you start winding, pumping, winding, and then you can race back when it comes up on the surface if it does. It'll usually shake its head, and he'll say, he's coming up, and they'll start thundering back. So when it does, they might be able to grab the leader.
David Blackbird just biding his time, stretching his arms at times. You also notice he's saving his groinial region as well with that butt end of the rod. That thing can get painful if you're talking about fighting for an hour.
Let me tell you a story about a couple guys who had a dream at a bar.
Are you talking about us?
No, George Washington and the American Revolution.
Oh, wow.
But now that you mention it, we're a lot like them.
We are.
We are America. Every other vodka brand is every other country that's tried to stand up against us.
And attack us.
Iraq, Japan, China.
Afghanistan.
Taliban.
They're there.
Russia, France, England.
They want the smoke.
And we are the smoke. This is an American brand.
If you believe in our country, you believe in Porosos.
That citizen fight time over 21 minutes here, the second stop of the Gulf Division.
Gaining some line there, Robbie. He's gaining some line there on the Lone Stars. You got Mr. Blackbird there doing his thing. David Blackbird, Ryan Richter there, Mark Blackbird, Sutton, Roberto, and Raul.
Yeah, we got a couple of Blackbirds on board this week.
Don't forget Captain Spencer Johnson. Marking fish. They talked about how they marked fish prior to this event, and they're hoping that the fish will stay around because there was bait around, so there's no reason for them to leave. They could feed, digest, come up and feed. It's kind of like you at Thanksgiving. You know, you go get a plate, you're like, you know what, I might go back in about a half hour. It's like that. More gravy?
Where's the potato salad? It was here just a minute ago.
I said I didn't want salmon. Meatloaf, now.
He did make some ground, and you were talking off break with me. This is to be expected. I mean, you're talking about one of the strongest, most powerful fish in the water. 22 minutes, it could be an hour, but it's 450 points. We've seen big fish come in this year, minute, 2 minutes.
Let's talk about your sailfish.
My sailfish took 3 hours.
Oh, it took over 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Well, you were fighting on a 16-pound test, but it was like one of those fish that just kept going down, and the drag and the 16-pound test and excitement and camera.
And it was
there's a lot of things happening. So when you think of about a 100-pound sail, yours was a giant Atlantic sailfish. I'll give you that. You did a great job. You never quit. Robbie Floyd is no quitter. Okay? So what we're seeing here is we're seeing a couple 100 pounds on this type setup. This could easily take, that amount of time. I mean, you get sailfish that get down and dirty, and sometimes they take 45, 50 minutes.
Oh, look at that. See, there's that. Remember I said that little grace for the groinial region?
Oh, boy, he's coming up now. Fish is coming up.
Yeah, he was like, all right, I got my break. Got to make ground.
A lot of line back on the reel. Fish wiggle is definitely coming up. That's a lot of gain right there. All gain, all gain.
Tell me the truth, Peter. You want to go ahead and run the leader through the rod tip at this point. You're not even worried about or wanting to reach out. You want to probably just try and get it the easier way.
Yeah, if you can. If you have the energy to, you're going to walk back in the pit and you know it's coming up on that last pump and you could run and put your knees up on the gunnel and wind down onto it with that extra stretch. But right now the fish is up on the surface. They're racing back. He's gaining all that line, not doing anything, not changing trajectory, keeping everything as is, and that's the goal. You want that fish to come up on the surface and not be upset by something that has changed.
Reeling through that weed like you've talked about so many times as well. Yeah, boat's pushing back. They're reeling in quick. Come on. Got to be getting closer. You saw Roberto preparing himself. He's going to be the one that reaches that leader.
It looks like it may have sunk down a little bit, but he gained a lot of line, and he's still gaining.
Yeah, he's still gaining ground.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where
we haven't seen
it's a crapshoot where you go after the fish in reverse. He's coming up, and everything looks right, and then they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna drop down with all my weight and just get down deep,
Look at the reel. Look at the reel. It's got a lot of line on it.
Not going fast though. That's called creeping off. He's creeping off right there. You got to creep. Are you kidding me, Captain? You listen to TLC?
He made up so much ground there to let it just slowly pull away. Each species worth a point value. The most points you can get is 450 points with the blue marlin. If you're not going to catch blues in these waters, you're hoping for whites. They're worth 100 points, and the mighty sailfish, the fastest fish in the ocean, worth 75.
Oof. Fish is taking some good line. Do you want more line now? A little bit stronger pulls there. Oof.
In case you're wondering, spearfish are worth 100 as well, so they would equal the white marlin. I've seen very few of those at SFC.
Loving that new graphic though. Loving that new graphic because a lot of people say, hey, my dad went out, he's chasing those marlin, looking for those marlin. I'm like, oh, that's actually a sailfish. It's determined by the giant dorsal fin, which looks like a sail on a sailboat, right?
Right.
And then you have the blue marlin that has a pointy tip on its fin. They're like, oh, like a shark? Well, a lot of sharks have pointy fins, and then they have rounded tops. I mean, everything's a little different out there, but the blue marlin has more of a point to their dorsal, and then it tapers down and goes low along their back. The white marlin has more of a rounded dorsal fin, and then that is a high dorsal compared to the blue marlin, whereas the sailfish has the giant dorsal. A lot of line gain right there. He's winding, trying to get through it. Trying to get through that weed.
Bait's staying out of the way.
We know what kind of fish it is.
Yeah.
We know that, and he's got the leader cutter, and this is go time right here.
Power reel,
There it is, there it is,
Oh, you
there
see the
it is.
fish?
That's a catch right there. 450 for the Lone Stars.
You're watching it live here on ESPN. 450 points for the defending champs. Now you
26
can
minutes, baby. Nothing to it.
Now you can say bye-bye, Blackbird. They're going to redeploy, get ready to catch some more fish.
Oh, that was fun. That fish was mad. Pulled hard. I'm ready for a water and a beer. It's good to get one, though. It's been tough fishing.
Way to go, Dave.
Thanks,
Solid
good.
fishing,
Thank
man.
you.
Woo! Water and a beer in that order, Peter.
Let's go.
You know that.
Let's go get another one in the grass.
And the grass was key.
Good job, Cap.
Hey, let's get back in the mess again. It's some nasty stuff that weed that works its way through the water, but it holds the bait fish, which hold the big fish. What kind of fish was it? It was
Robbie,
a 450
it was a
point.
blue marlin in the weeds.
It was beautiful.
There it is.
Everything you want to see right there, including the 450 points.
Okay, this is the Gulfport, Mississippi. This is Coast Guard Foundation. Thank you for your support on that. Cross-chartering yacht transport. And Fly Llama Brewing.
Easy for you to
Family-owned
say.
community coffee right there, Robbie. I had a cup this morning.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to the Coast Guard Foundation and Cross Chartering Yacht Transport. Fly Llama Brewing, that's a first one. And that's what happens, boys and girls, when you don't turn on your microphone. No Rivals, League of Your Own, and I want to get me one of those hats. I saw some people wearing it Charleston just a couple of weeks ago. 550 points for the Gulf Coast Cowboys, but look who's moved into second. The defending champs trying to move into the top two and make their way back to Cabo San Lucas.
That was a power move, Robbie. That's a power move. When the bite's slow like this on day one, it's glass calm. You got to make something happen, as they say. So whether it's live bait, whether it's pitch bait, whether it's lures, you got to try it all. I talked about earlier the keys to success. It is all about trying a little bit of everything. Variety is the spice of life.
No Rivals power move. You almost given us a new identifier there. That's pretty good. I like that. So we did look at the points just a moment ago. We saw the released white marlin by Lori McDowell, the first catch of this tournament. But let's look back at the second catch of the tournament. Once again, by the Gulf Coast Cowboys. We know it's a blue marlin. We know BK is about to hook up with it. And boy, boys and girls, get ready, because this
Bait's
is a big
getting nervous, Robbie. You see, watch the rod tip. You got Becker on the rod there, holding the bait, and the bait's twitching, twitching, twitching. They're seeing the fish back there.
Oh, he's coming in on it pretty hard. Get ready. Get ready. Oh, he's up in the wash. Get ready. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He just took
See that coordinated effort, the communication, the drop back. Water up, circle hook, find the mark. Let's go.
Yep.
Oof. Oh, that's displacing a ton of water.
That was poetry in motion. That looks like a good fish, Robbie. That's a nice one right there.
I got all it.
BK in the chair. Our Georgia line back together again. Gone viral all over. Everything you look at, it's just like people are like, thank you. We needed this. Going back on that fish hard. You know, you have that fish pulling, going berserk, and they're going back hard to try to get that leader. Sometimes you get lucky, Robbie. It's like being at the casino. You win, you should walk away. This is like, let's fly back in reverse. Maybe we'll get the leader, maybe 450 right away. Not always the case.
As long as that fish stays on top, you try and make up as much ground as you can, right? Its feet start sounding, or you putting that pressure on, he tries getting deeper, then you're in trouble. I'm always concerned, and you brought up the what is a maypop. Whenever you have those rigs and stuff, there's a lot of lines and things under the water that you cannot see help supporting those structures. That's something those fish oftentimes want to head towards as well.
that on 300?
We got our cameraman, Junior De La Torre. They're storing everything. See how they're doing work preparing for the next onslaught of fish. We're just always being prepared. That's the key. Teasers out of the water, dredges out of the water. If you're even using them, I don't think they are.
Where are you at, Brian? Where's he at on the just above 10. It's in between the two marks? Just above 10. Come on up. Good 18. Halfway in between right now.
Yeah. Going to 18 pounds of pressure.
Coming up a little bit. Go on up in here. Show you how that works.
Got Blake Bridges at the helm, cool as a cucumber, in reverse, nice and easy. Another.
And that is the way that the captains on these vessels usually are facing backwards. Out of 10 seconds, they're looking backwards about 9 of those seconds. See another boat running off into the background.
There we go.
Couple things to look for: drill ships. That looked like a transport ship off of the most of the platforms and oil rigs.
There she is. Oh!
Wow.
Man.
Over here.
Look at that fish.
Look at the bill on that thing.
That is a nice fish. You see the shoulders, you know, right there where the forehead meets that dorsal? When that's jacked up like that by a few inches, it makes all the difference in the world. We go from a 300-pounder to a 500-pounder like that, and then it's thick all the way down to the tail.
It's like the difference between a bull dolphin or a bull mahi has that big old head on it.
Right, and then it gets thick and just beefed up, and that's how they get that, again, that weight. It's like Mike Tyson, you know, as compared to another boxer.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Exactly.
That's a shard right there on the freaking teaser.
He's spooling him.
Use that button up right here.
So you see he's going to push it up a little bit.
That's a little more drag if he goes forward.
A little bit more so we don't have, they're going down. Push that button down. Push that button, the button, and use that.
Go over the button right now. You press that button to go over your normal drag setting, which is very common.
So that button was the limit?
That was the limit to what they would have normally to get everything going, but once the fish is kind of settled in, you can go ahead of the button and you can make determinations based on the fish's movements, what you want to do.
And I remember asking you this the first year of the SFC and talking about that drag and setting that drag. They put weights on the end to try and find where that weight spot is before they go to take off.
They pull, yeah, they usually pull with we used to call it, the name of the scale was a Chitilian scale, and you'd put it on the swivel, and you'd pull it off, they'd reel it up, you'd pull it off, you reel it up, and you'd see on the scale how many pounds of drag it was.
Right.
And sometimes you'd have to warm the drag up in the morning and have to rip drag off, reel it, rip it, and heat up the oils and the plates in there, you know, and it's a very important process, but all these guys set their drags with a scale.
It's like a spring type scale?
Exactly, yeah.
Let's go, BK.
Go on up here, come on.
Got that new boat to you smell? It is new.
Looks like.
How about him just getting ate up with it, just like you did as a kid, except he's got a little more funds than you had as a kid.
And he's doing it really big. I mean, he's not doing this like under the radar, you know? Live TV on ESPN and
I mean, getting a
Florida
big
Georgia
boat.
line and being able to talk about his sport fishing team, you know, while he's there doing concerts. You know, this is viral stuff, and he's getting to show this to all his fans. Another side, a more interesting side. You know, he's someone knits. You know, he might have a lot of knitters out there. But he's got the fishermen, he's got the outdoorsmen. Just loving what's going on here.
He said when we talked to him in Charleston, he was wanting a little me time. This is his time. This is his passion. This is his pleasure. And again, going from one big boat to an even bigger boat, and then having the success of seeing a monster blue on the end of your line can't be any better for him.
And we got to see his first blue marlin fish come to the boat where they actually leadered. He had a lot of blue marlin on the past over his lifetime, but they'd come off, you know, something popped off. So, you know, he'd had a lot of experience, but to see him catch his first and how stoked he was and actually had it mounted, you know, and at his house and It's a big deal, and now he's just catching them left and right. He opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
He's got a great team. New sled, 67-foot. Haul man.
Turning right.
11:52 release, and that's the bimini twist right there. And then you have a little bit of line below that, and then the wind on leaders right. Oof, there it is. That fish, as you see that dark shape under the water, right where the line's cutting.
What a silhouette. I mean, we saw it on top of the water. That thing is huge.
This is a nice fish, man. This is a stout woman.
That's probably his PB as far as the biggest. Well, you see the leader is right there. That'll be 450 points. That's what put them on top. You'll be able to watch it side by side as we go to break here. Yep, Gulf Coast Cowboys with 450 points added to their total and has them in the lead.
Nice, there it is. That is the 450 confirmation. Nick throws his headset off. He said, I don't need the stinking headset. I gotta do what I gotta. Woo! That is a big one right there, and then it goes to take line, and of course it decides to wrap around the teaser. It's just one flip around and get it right back off.
Hey, we got to take our break, Peter, but they can still watch and see how it goes down. They're going to pop it and stop that catch and try and catch another one just like it.
My name's Josh Hendricks. I am the general manager of the Palm Beach offices for OneWater. I've been with the company now for 14 years. That includes the version of the company that existed before that OneWater acquired. Since we were acquired by OneWater in 2017, we had 1 or 2 offices, and we've expanded substantially over that period of time. We've added brands, we've added locations, service locations. The team has grown, just enormous growth over that period of time. Service is huge, it's everything. I think that having a good reputation for service will completely make or break. You can have the best sales team in the world, but if you don't take care of your clients and service your boats, then it's all for nothing. We have locations all over where clients can bring their boats to. HCB is one of our newer brands.
The reason with the HCB is it just is a unique boat in itself. Larger center consoles, they're not really making larger center consoles that have a fishability in the backside. And there's place for 10 guys or 10 couples to be on the boat. It really has bigger live wells on the back. It has electric reel plug-ins for kites. It gives you a lot of space in the back cockpit to fish from, along with space in the front if you're doing some bottom fishing.
We have Riviera as well. It's a family-friendly fishing boat, but HCB has really offered that outboard package that we didn't have before.
Every summer we take all of our customers out to the Bahamas and teach them how to boat in the Bahamas, teach them how to fish in the Bahamas, and those kind of events keep people within our brand.
Getting boaters together with other boaters that they may not have known before, having that shared experience is really unique, and it creates friendships and bonds that they might not have found or had otherwise. If you want to learn more about OneWater Yacht Group, first place to go would be our website. Obviously, we share all of our inventory and everything on the site. We have boats in marinas all over the place in Palm Beach County too, so we can direct you to what you're looking for anytime.
Yeah, they are still hooked up. They already have a qualified catch, but they're going to get this thing to the very end. If I were Brian, I'd be going like, hey, just cut that sucker off.
It gets everybody so giddy. You can hear them just talking about it, like, oh my God, this is a big, like I didn't understand the size of it until you look down, you got him on the leader, it's profile of the boat, and then when his back comes up, that's important.
There's his favorite man on the whole boat right there.
Yeah.
That was a lot colder than I was expecting it to be.
Oh, Yeti coolers keeping it ice cold. What's cooler than cool, Robbie?
Ice cold.
Just sitting there.
And there are other tournaments that they could be a part of that they could possibly bring back this fish. We saw a big one at the Big Rock this week, huh? Big Rock with a 919-pounder.
Yeah, he's going to get you mackerel. I know, I was about to. He's going to get our mackerel. He's going to get our mackerel.
Watch my mackerel. Pull my mackerel down.
Pull that mackerel down.
Pull my mackerel down.
That's what he's after.
Well, we know mackerel are in the boat.
So mackerel's on the teaser.
over.
You want a glove to try and palm the spool?
What's that?
You want a glove to try and palm the spool?
You're just sitting there.
Make sure you have some SPF, sun protection.
Deep
But
down
you know
in
it
there.
is. Sun's out,
Fresh,
guns out for
cool
Tribe
water.
Kelly.
Look at that thing going down there. Look at that fish. That thing.
Mackerel got
Free.
mauled.
Uh-oh,
on
come
the
on,
end of
scope
that
up.
Teaser.
We got a little angle, up angle. Come on. DK, remember how to put it in the high gear, right?
It's in. Or it's in low, yeah.
Remember how to put it back in the high
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, okay, because if it scopes up like this, we're going to switch.
Come on up, baby.
You getting that Benefield tutorial.
I don't know if I'll be.
We're going to have to make some ground up quick here.
Go around, it's too far deep. She's too deep. I think we can do it. We might be able to get it, but it's going to be deep, though. I don't want to get too close to it, and then drive it down more.
Wind down's right here. Yeah.
Good, buddy. Doing good.
Hey, girl, I'm up there, big guy.
Come on, a little more, a little more.
To the right. Got it. Got it. There it is. All right, got her.
Pulling this big mama.
Come on up, girl.
Good job, BK. Good job, guys. That's the 450. We've already achieved that, but now we're seeing it for the second time as they regain control of the leader.
Let's go, baby. Hang on, next one down.
Love to see they got an underwater camera there as well.
Sorry.
We know Dino been sending you smoke signals throughout the day. We need to get some of that underwater.
Whoa.
Big girl, hello. How you doing?
Man, doing shrugs all day long, man. Those traps are huge.
Look, I'm a slide right here. Hey, sorry.
And that could be some money in some tournaments. That is a big fish. Look at the
lean
silhouette.
into it. You gotta lean with it.
Lean back.
Wow, what a
I want to
fish.
see that underwater
Beautiful.
shot.
Wow.
And again, that's something that they could be able to deliver, and maybe be able to see it tomorrow.
Nice work, guys.
Let's go. Come on, baby. Let's go. Let's go, you run forward.
That doesn't get you fired up. New boat.
Hey, boy. Come on with it. Let's go.
Peter Miller, that was for you, you stallion.
I tell you that, Nick, give me shout-outs. I guess, I give him some shout-outs. I guess we can give him right back. But it's stallion.
You're not Italian.
I'm not an Italian stallion, but I'll take it, man. I'll take it all day long. That's a great job.
The squad.
We both got 2 jumpers now.
You know, Robbie, when you have moments like that, I mean, this is what all these guys live for. This is why everyone's out here. You see the Cowboys look like they're actually
Yeah,
doing
they're feeding.
something. Well, they're in position to do something.
Yeah.
But moments like that are exactly what brings everyone to this sport. I mean, it starts small, like little brim and catfish, and all the way, like Chloe's catfish barbecue she had. But it's really about, having time out of the water with great team members that really, sync it together. And then, Dino and Brian, I mean, they're just like, they figured it out. They've got the hum, and then Lori's in the chair. They got the great teamwork. They got the great captain, the new sled, the 67-pole man. And then, okay, we're going to go from lures. We're going to go to pitching dead baits. We're going to live bait, and that's what that fish ate. Twitching, twitching, twitching. But boy, when it ate, it could have gone wrong because it could have really bird's nested up when that fish hit that tuna. But Nick had it under control, light fingers, just enough to make it come off the reel smoothly, and it was game on.
That thing's got a little crazy for the squid chain there, a little bit, but the way you saw them kind of feeding line a moment ago, I thought, okay, they're bringing in that teaser. Do they have one on?
No.
Not at all? Okay, because when he was looping it around there.
No, they're just
tidying up the
and there's a fish in the spread, and they're, starting to make a turn. They obviously had something up in the spread, and now they're trying to bait it.
Yeah. Yeah, when they brought in that teaser, I know he's trying to get things straight here, but for him to be looking attentive there and then making that left-hand turn.
Oh, no, 100% there was a billfish up in the spread. But it's just a question of, is it going to come back and eat?
You're watching live, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is not taped. This is happening in the Gulf of America right now. And you can see the other baits, teasers, whatever it may be, longer lines out in the water deployed. Our cameraman zooms in on it. Junior doing a great job. What do they want?
Well, you got multiple baits out there. You still have the squid chain out there on the left, multiple baits on the right, and the smooth, clean water on the turn.
Yeah, and they're not just making a straight shot. They are targeting something and trying to put it right in front of their nose.
And if they're not seeing it right now on the surface, they're seeing it on the sonar, so they can determine, did the fish, move off that way? Should they motor that way, stay in the turn? Or maybe the fish goes, hard right. They're going to make a right.
And that's one of the things with the electronics they have now and the omnidirectional stuff. Some can see 360, some are directional, and they'll have to try and aim it that particular direction. So, and even if they did see one, if they make a pass back over it again and it went down, I remember Justin Drummond saying years ago, when it goes back down, she's not coming back up. If it stays
up,
up,
to 250 feet, it's really tough.
He's like, if it stayed up, then I know I might catch this fish, and I'm going to spend a little time on it. So even if you don't get it the first swipe, maybe you make another run, and if it's still up, it is likely to hit again.
Well, that's the thing. You can bait a fish, and if it goes away, you can follow the fish, you can retry, you can redeploy, and you can try that fish for a while. And so there's always hope when you see that, which is kind of a cool thing, to be able to do that. You're like, okay, well, we know they're there. Let's continue to deploy our baits in the area and try to raise them up, because whatever we did, they came up and they sunk back down.
All right, well, we saw the cut-off sleeves by Brian Kelly. I said sun's out, guns out. Rudy Tamarchio caught up with BK before the season started and asked him about the Marlin Bros.
Blake said specifically, we don't know if the boat's big enough to fit both you and Dino. Not because of ego, but because of the personalities that you guys are. You guys have competed for a year, and now you're the Marlin Brothers.
That's right.
So how did that come about? Where did that name come through?
Well, I think we were just having such a good time, and we were catching fish and just, living it up out there. And I think it was a reference from the Mighty Ducks, the D2 movie, where you have the Bash Brothers. And so the Marlin Brothers just kind of stuck, and then we started cutting our sleeves off, and just every weekend we were out there, it felt like it elevated. And just, the whole team, the whole family we have such a bond, an instant bond. And so, yeah, the Marlin Brothers will carry through this next year again.
Marlin Bros with a couple of fish on the board today, a white marlin and a blue.
No sleeves
allowed. No sleeves allowed.
The Doobie Brothers did it.
Yeah. Which Doobie you be? He'd be the one that catches a blue marlin. Oh, I love that one from What's Happening. Do you remember that back in the day? All right, they're re-rigging. They're getting ready to go. They spotted one a moment ago, just didn't quite get her to bite.
Hey y'all, my name is Bailey Walker and I'm one of the mates here on the West Florida Black Flags. I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama, but now I'm out of Panama City Beach, Florida. And I want to shout out my parents back in Birmingham and my siblings, Blake, Brooklyn, and Brooks, and my grandparents, Em and Nana and Pops. And then I also want to make a special shout out to my grandfather, D, who passed away back on New Year's Eve. And this season's I'm dedicating this season to him because he's the one that got me here and into the boating industry. But I just want to say thank you to all my friends and family for supporting me and helping me live out my dream that I'm able to live right now. So thank you to every single one of you guys. I love y'all.
As part of World Oceans Day this week, consider supporting the Billfish Conservation Project. Founded in 2019, BCP was established to protect our valuable ocean resources and billfish. Go to billfishconservation.org and join the newsletter and become a member and make a donation. That sweet, sweet sound of hookup alert. Do you hear it, Peter?
Here it is.
Oh yeah, who is it? It's the Louisiana Canyons, and Jacelyn Berthelot is there and ready. They're not too far away from one of those platforms. They got up tight.
Putting the mic down, that speaks volumes.
Seeing Toby Berthelot there means that Angel's running the boat right now. We have two captains listed on board. That is Toby, right?
That is Toby, correct, with the hat on backwards. That's his shtick.
I didn't see his cutoff bib, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I remember back in your season 1. Epitome, sartorial elegance. You see Jacelyn, how she's saving her thumb right there? She's got her thumb up as opposed to wrapping around because you can start the blister early and she may even have a blister. So she's maybe protecting that thumb for now. I mean, I'm not really sure, but you know, when you see that, they get a, you know, my hands are wet, they're salty, it's a little, you know, it can get a little annoyed and irritated, and you got a 3-day event. You know, you want to save yourself.
You don't want a case of Tinder mitts on the first day of the tournament.
Yep. It's amazing how you can reel through a bloody blister or two over a 3-day period when they're almost healing, and then you just open them back up.
It's just blood raw. You're seeing how close they are to that platform. We are seeing a little vegetation in the water as well, adding for that perfect confluence. Maybe there's an eddy or something, or an upwelling, as you've talked about, that's bringing in those fish to that area. They've got a man on board that knows a thing or two about those platforms.
They don't feel too excited about this.
Maybe the wrong species. They get a tuna. Nope. Nothing.
Cuda?
Yeah, I think so. I saw pointy. Yeah, toothy critter.
That's a barracuda.
The barracuda is not what we're looking for today. Look at the teeth on that bad boy.
So you see they were trolling lures there.
Darn it. All right. Well, at least it gets the juices flowing, gets them ready to still catch a fish. They will not have lines out today. They don't have to have the lines out of the water until Sunday. So there's still a lot more fishing ahead for all 6 of our teams.
I'm Spencer Johnson, captain of the Texas Lone Stars, and you're watching Sport Fishing Championship on ESPN.
After we crown a winner in Gulfport, the Gulf Division will take a week off before they set course for Panama City Beach, Florida, the Gulf Coast Cowboys country. It's the Bay Point Billfish Open, June 25th through 27th. You can join us right here on the SFC YouTube channel and ESPN Plus. Looking for some bigs out there as well. Gulf Coast Cowboys in their backyard, and they're doing well in their next door neighbor here for the Gulfport Mississippi Open.
All right, Robbie, we see a couple different techniques going here. We've got live bait going with the blues there. You see the anglers are on either side of the gunnel, port and starboard. They've got live baits out. Their tuna tubes are brimming. They're checking on them, you know, making sure everything's cool. Louisiana Canyon's trolling. The Cowboys kind of being cowboys, doing what they do. They got 2 fish under their belt. Lone Star, smooth wake right there, man. They've got so little white water behind their boat. It's beautiful, beautiful prop wash. Very low on the white foam.
Seeing the Cowboys in that upper left-hand portion circling around again.
Lost contact with the Renegades for a minute, but we also see the black flags. They're on the troll there.
So Peter,
yes,
if
sir.
you've got this big boat out in the Gulf of America and you know that these fish sometimes are centrally located around some of these platforms, are you literally doing NASCAR laps around them trying to find? Or is it like bass fishing where there's one spot, the spot on a spot, that you're going to try and make more straight line approaches across?
I think, you know, with today's technology, if you asked me, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I'd say, yeah, you know, typically they're going to show up at some point. They're going to want to feed there. We're going to call that, you know, the groundskeepers. They hang out at that specific one. But then the bait leaves, they leave. So everything changes overnight with the currents and the bait. But, you know, they'll pre-fish. They'll be calling everybody, hey, did you see fish at this one? Did you see fish at this one? They had a deal last week where Greg Trenner caught 7 fish, and everybody announced which rig he was at.
Yeah.
And they all bombarded and went over there, and it was kind of like, wait, what's happening here? I think he caught 7.
Yeah.
7 blue marlin.
I kind of wish we would show it. I guess it's all part in the rules of whether they do or want to allow it or not. I've gotten used to it with bass fishing. I know that it puts a bad taste in your mouth having somebody. I've known about this spot for years. Why would I want them on top of me, right?
Yeah.
But for us, I would love to see where the Texas Lone Stars are in comparison to, say, the Louisiana Canyons or Gulf Coast Cowboys right now.
And sometimes you'll have a boat that's working that specific rig, and you might go, oh, you know, we better not go over there. And that boat maybe raised them, didn't get a bite, maybe raised them, didn't get a bite, or maybe pulled it off and the fish didn't feel anything. It's no worse for the wear. And then that boat that's watching slides right in and pitches over a blackfin tuna or maybe a rainbow runner or a specific fish that's super fresh. And the fish just cannot deny it, and they have to come up and just wail on it. And that's, a lot of times that happens, you know. It's the hum of the boat, it's the type of bait, it's the movement, it's the lateral lines, it's a lot of sensations, and that's what can make that fish bite. And that's what these guys do. They share these spots. The guys that are working the rigs, you know, they have reports now, believe it or not. They have reports telling people where the fish are. Oh man, we saw a grander here last night swimming around on the lights and eating this and eating that, eating squid, and very, very interesting. But you know, you have to mark them too, Robbie. You're not just going to mow the lawn around in circles or going around these rigs. You know, you're going to want to mark fish to keep you in that spot. And if you don't, you're going to move on. You're going to maybe move to the next one. Maybe there's no signs of life here.
When you mentioned marking fish, a lot of electronics being involved in these boats, and the Gulf Coast Cowboys on a new boat to them. I mean, literally, this is as fresh as it can get. And if you've got the setup the way you want it, things are all good. And we talked to Blake Bridges about this new boat they have, and you know what? I think she's set up right from the start.
Fished that trip in Key West, and I think jointly Dino and Brian kind of got together and were like, yeah, we got to get something a lot bigger. So this one just happened to, while we were down in Key West, this was a pocket listing. It wasn't listed for sale. And Brian's like, if we're going to do this, I want to move fast. And it was just like that. I think we had this thing closed after we surveyed within a week. It was the fastest boat deal I've ever seen. So it happened very fast. And then we were, a couple days after it closed, it was already in the yard at Jarrett Bay getting a couple things done. And then we went from Beaufort, North Carolina to Destin in 3 days to get ready for all this. This hands down the best riding boat that I've ever been on. I mean, when we brought this boat back, we came through some pretty gnarly stuff, and we were really able to book it. You know, we went 1,000 miles in 3 days, so if that gives you any indication, it wasn't nice and calm not one day. So.
Wow, that's pretty incredible to have a survey like that, and the survey is the most important thing. You know, it's one thing to do a closing in 7 days, but the survey is the most important thing because you're looking at engine mounts. You're looking like, are we going to have to redo the shafts? Are we going to have to refit the motors? And there's so many factors involved. So to pass with flying colors and then to make the offer after seeing that, maybe there's a thing or two you knock off, just like buying a house. Like, you know what, I might need to replace that driveway, but I'll knock 7 grand off or 20 grand off, whatever it is. And to buy that boat and to get right into fishing and to be catching fish immediately on that boat. And you hear Blake saying that, like, this is the best running boat I've ever run.
That's impressive.
That's impressive. And then they beat themselves up going 1,000 miles to get to their next destination.
Not just 1,000 miles, 1,000 miles in 3 days and never a calm day.
Right.
You know,
right.
That's getting it done.
Maybe they're running 20, 27 knots. Maybe they're, you know.
I wouldn't want to take that beating. I can promise you that. I've done a 1,000-mile road trip. I couldn't imagine doing it on the water. These teams do it. That's why Blake Bridges.
Well, the calmest spot on the boat, even on the big boats, is right there by the transom. I lay down on the floor, put a sneaker under my head, and I lay down right on the teak or whatever composite it is, and that's a sweet spot right there. Take a little nap.
All right, we're almost done with our first day of competition here on ESPN. They've got plenty more fishing still ahead. We're going to step aside for just a bit. Maybe we'll get a hookup before we sign off today on ESPN. Looking at the 6th box for the Gulfport Mississippi Open presented by Guidesley. We've got 6 golf teams out there fishing. And they'll fish all day. They can fish as long as they want, all the way up until 4 o'clock on Sunday. That's when they have to have their citizens line out of the water. Peter, it's been a pretty good event. If you're the Gulf Coast Cowboys, we've seen the Lone Stars, catch a fish there toward the end as well, but there's still plenty of time left in this tournament.
And that's the nice thing about this. You can fish for 3 days. I mean, that's a lot of fishing time. And they're going to enjoy it out there. It's calm right now, and there's a few fish on the board. We don't know what people have seen or missed or marked. And it's just a question of when they're going to come up and eat. At some point, it's going to happen.
And with it being as tight as it is now, you've got those other 4 teams without fish that are 1 fish away from possibly, getting up there near the lead. Let's bring in the man who is in the lead right now, the Gulf Coast Cowboys, Brian Kelly, and not with a blue marlin on the end of the line today, a big blue marlin. Is that the biggest one you've caught, Brian? Because I know it was bigger than the first one last year.
Yeah, I think it may be close to, or if not the biggest. That was a heck of a ride right there, and just got to give some awesome props to the whole squad on the boat, everybody. Including the boat, got it done. I mean, we're so pumped up this weekend. The squad is strong. Grateful to be out here, and to get a blue like that, get on the board. Lori crushed a white marlin. We had a sailfish earlier this morning come up and I think hit the teaser. We couldn't get anything on it, and then another blue swam up as well, and didn't get a chance to get that one. But it's been a great day. It's beautiful out, and yeah, let's go, baby.
I was joking with Peter, and again, with y'all out there at depth, I didn't expect to see a sailfish. Don't tell me that sailfish was in the same area as the white and the blue, because you're 1 sailfish away from that slam and an extra 200 points.
Dino was just talking about that, so that sail would have been nice to get that one, but maybe later today we'll see if it'll come back, and maybe we'll get a little slam piece. Who knows?
Congratulations on that fish. Absolutely incredible, to go from what you had going on this past week with getting back together with your boy in Florida Georgia line, and it's going viral, worldwide stuff. Like the whole country's like, oh, thank God they're back together. And you think, well, man, this is so huge. I don't know what could be better. And then all of a sudden you're fighting what, a 400 or 500 pound blue marlin a few days later. I mean, this is some great stuff. You must be super pleased with the new Brittany Marie, huh?
We're all fired up, man. I mean, it's been an incredible, really 2 weeks of getting the boat dialed, going to Nashville, rocking the stadium with my brother T-Hub, and all the goodness and great things that are happening. A lot of positive energy. Get back on the boat. Things are rocking. We're catching fish. Put some numbers up, and glory to God. Grateful to be out here, and let's go Cowboys.
Any negatives at all with the new boat? I mean, I keep telling Peter it's got that new boat smell, but it's new to you. But is there anything, that you're already starting to get nitpicky about? I wish I could have had this. I wish I could have had that.
No, we're just grateful to be out here on this new 67, new to us 67, and she's rocking great. And just grateful we got her in the nick of time. The crew ran over to North Carolina, got her back. Took it to Orange Beach, got the name changed, got the tuna tubes hooked up, ready to rock, and it's been a great time so far. And no, she's rocking. Old girl ready for anything.
That's awesome. I got to ask you a question about the bait. We saw here that it was a live bait bite. Do you remember which bait it was, or during the mayhem maybe you don't remember? But what do you think you deployed for that bite?
Nick, what was the bite for the blue marlin? Tuna? Is it a tuna?
Yeah.
The one we got? Blackfin tuna. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, that was man, that's crazy. We were actually jamming some FGL, and then boat names came on for the bite. So it was I don't know what's going on. Every time we seem to play something like that, it's the fish, I guess, like it. I don't know what's going on, but we'll keep it spinning and keep them reels rocking too.
It was meant to be. All of it was meant to be, from A to B to C, all the way. Baby. You guys are doing it, man. Congratulations, man. It's awesome.
I think we got the bigs. I think that needs to be a title. We got the bigs. We just saw it right then. I know you couldn't see it, but you got a good one today. Hopefully tomorrow and the next day we'll get even more.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Gulf Coast Cowboys. Brian Kelly on his new boat. really set it off in style this first day of 3. You can just see how happy it's like.
Oh, yeah.
Is there can you find any negative? He's like, nope, no negative.
I know, as you're going with the negative, I'm like, I have a feeling he's going to stay positive. I was looking
He
around.
did.
Come on, don't bring up
No.
There's always something, but there is something going down with the boat. But now, Brian, now with BK.
Hey, we're going to step aside for a bit. We'll wrap things up when we come back. It's the Gulf Coast once again, and big fish once again for the Gulf Coast Cowboys. The Gulfport Mississippi Open is sponsored by Anetic, Tribe Kelly, Grizzly Coolers, and Revo Sunglasses. The world as few have. See the world as few have. I'm seeing a lot of structure out there that these big fish are hanging around. Now seeing one team on the move there, Third Coast Renegades are hauling tail. They have that opportunity, the same thing for Mississippi Blues. But if you're running that hard, you're not fishing. But we know that they've been fishing hard for this first day of the tournament. A little bit different. First off, what do you think about leaving early and getting to start at midnight, or at least when the sun comes up, it's time to go instead of having to make that run on day 1? I like it.
You could see everybody loves that format. All of the teams, the anglers, they love that format because you get a chance to get out there and really do your thing. You don't want to burn too much fuel. You don't want to worry about baits if you have to run out first thing in the morning. So you're saving fuel, you're catching bait, your stress level goes down a little bit. You have a little more control over the situation because ultimately you're out there to catch fish. It shouldn't be so stressful to try to get out there. So once you have your bait, I mean, that is everything. That is where it all starts. And then you can go fishing. Then you start to mark fish. You can mark fish all night long. You can go to different spots. And I mean, it's really a win-win situation for everybody. I mean, we're having a great time watching it. These guys know where they want to be and they're catching some fish. They're seeing fish. I think this is going to turn out to be quite the tournament.
We already heard that more fish are being caught than they actually caught. Gulf Coast Cowboys, another blue that they saw, another sail that they saw, and they are one sailfish away from a grand slam. But let's take a look at what it took for the Gulf Coast Cowboys to get into that top position that they're in now. Gulf Coast Cowboys last year finished second in the tournament with 2 blue marlin. They trailed only the Third Coast Renegades. Here in this tournament, they're the ones setting that mark, and everybody else is trying to play catch up with them.
BK in the chair for the jumbo. Nick on the leader. Everything's looking good. And then let's see, do we get to see it right here? Oh, headset's off. He doesn't need that. Beautiful. Wow.
Took 3 blues and a white to win last year by Third Coast Renegades. That's a big fish.
Chunk.
They're on their way. They've got a white. They just need to get 2 more blues.
Nice.
At the no rival standings, Gulf Coast Cowboys with a couple of fish, Lone Stars with a single. Only 2 of our 6 teams with qualified catches on day 1, but this is a 3-day tournament. Peter can't count anyone out. I promise you, the 4 teams with zeros have a really good shot of still winning this tournament because the fishing has been difficult. Yeah, Gulf Coast Cowboys have 2 fish, but it's not 2 marlin, 2 blue marlin. There's a white in there that's not as many points as having 2 blues.
And there's a lot of time left in the day. There's a lot of different techniques being employed. So the key is to keep your bait tubes filled. You always want to have your tunas, your blackfin tuna, your skipjacks, your yellowfin tuna, if you will. You can even have your rainbow runners and a whole host of species. But BK said earlier, and Nick confirmed that it was a blackfin tuna that they got the bite on, and that's really what it's all about, keeping your bait brimming, moving to new spots, marking the fish, and deploying. At some point, they're going to come up and eat, and we do have fish that have come into some of the spreads and didn't eat, but they are going to turn on, and these guys are going to catch them, and they're going to keep hunting. They're going to be deploying a little bit of everything they got until they catch them. These guys have a no-quit attitude. They're not going to quit. We're going to see it all tomorrow.
And I have a feeling we will see more caught today. You're just not going to get to see it here on ESPN Plus today because we're going to have to bail out of this one. But here in Texas, I know it gets dark around 8:30, 9 o'clock, so they've got a good 4 hours of fishing before the sun goes down. It's time to wrap things up for the day, so join us tomorrow as the action continues from the Gulfport Mississippi Open presented by Geisley, the SFC YouTube channel for the social hour at 2 p.m. Eastern. For Peter Miller, Rudy Tamarchio, Chloe Turner, I'm Robbie Floyd. We'll see you tomorrow. The Gulfport Mississippi Open continues, presented by Geisley. Yeah, there's some big blues out in them waters.